Perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're really excited to have Mary here today. Mary Cravets is a client-generated expert and an international speaker who helps entrepreneurs significantly, if I could speak, it would be nice, significantly grow their business without working nights and weekends. Using her methods, the majority of our clients quickly increase their income 50 to 100%. Clients include the former CFO of Microsoft North America, thought leaders in the coaching industry, and rising stars in a variety of other professions. Mary is also an avid roller coaster enthusiast and a kayaking volunteer for a wildlife protection program in Morro Bay, California. Everybody, welcome Mary Cravets. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here. Thanks for pulling this all together. We did this quick.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so here's something kind of exciting. I realized that I could give you, basically today you're getting a twofer, okay? So I'm gonna talk about speaking for free online, but truly with very, very few exceptions, what I'm gonna teach is applicable online and live. So yes, we're going to talk about online speaking. And the thing is that the reason why this is such a big deal right now is because groups like your chamber right now, they're doubling and tripling up on their programming to support their members. So there are more opportunities to you in that way. And then in the other way, there's more opportunities is that now the geographic barriers have come down. And so you've just exponentially expanded your opportunities for speaking across the nation, across the world. And the important thing to know is that this opportunity, the speaking for free, whether online or when we get back to a regular schedule, speaking live, it's like speaking for free only pays off when you are strategic and understand that it is a client generation strategy. If you don't do that, you're going to do what I did for many years and do a lot of speaking, do a lot of giving, and your strategy isn't put together, so there isn't an ROI on your time. So online, offline, this is all applicable, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the content. Let me find my presentation. So yeah, of course, Microsoft decided that today is the day they have to update Microsoft in all of its glory. So it shut everything down for me. Okay. So, hang on. Okay, that is not. Okay, so question for you. What are you seeing on your screen right now? Is it my notes and the next screen? Or
no, it's the gears. It's the presentation.
Okay, super. Then it's not supposed to do that. All right, perfect. Today we're talking about speaking online for free, surprisingly profitable strategy to attract new clients. Now here's a little laugh for you. I love Calvin and Hobbes, and they always are able to get to the heart of things. So Calvin is selling his Swift kick in the butt for $1, and he's asked, how's business? And he says, I can't believe it, it's terrible. And he says, everybody I know needs what I'm selling. I'm wondering if you ever feel like this. Everybody I know needs what I'm selling. And yet, if you could just get people to see and understand what you're doing, you definitely attract more clients because so many people need what you do. It can be really frustrating. But what I know about you is you're accomplished, you're smart. And so what I'm going to do today is clarify a strategy to help you better showcase your brilliance so you can get more clients, earn more money, and make a bigger impact. Here's what we are going to cover today. Number one, I'm going to answer the question, should I speak for free once and for all? Number two, you're going to get the keys to making audiences hungry to work with you even before you set foot on stage. And number 3, we're going to factor in the 6 essential elements of client generation so you can maximize your results. And we'll take some time to integrate and implement in order to create lasting impact beyond our short amount of time today. I'm going to include some case studies along the way in order to deepen the learning. And also I will share my story of where all this came from. The time is going to go by very quickly. And because there is a lot to learn around the topic of speaking, I want to make sure that we stay connected. Now, I know a lot of you are already connected with me, but I want to make sure that you get all of the speaking resources that I've been coming out with lately. So, want to make sure that we stay connected. And also, because things are kind of a drag right now in the world, I want to have some fun. So at the end, I'm going to do a giveaway of my book. I'm going to put it in the mail. You know, mail is a super big deal right now, like the highlight of many people's days. So what you have to do to get into the drawing, very simply, send me an email, mary@simplygetclients.com, with the subject line webinar. And at the end, must be present to win, I will do a drawing for that. Now, if we've just met and you're not quite sure if you're ready to turn over your email to me, I will give you another option at the end before I do the drawing. I'm also going to take time throughout to break for questions. And what I'm going to ask is you hold your questions, make a note of them, but hold them until I take breaks so that I can keep all of the content really congruent and continuous. Okay, so first things first. I want to find out from you, why is the topic of speaking for free and making it profitable, why is it important to you? And you can either unmute yourself or you're welcome to just go in the chat and type in just a quick note about why it's important to you.
Hey, Mary, I'll start. And
Okay.
The first reason is because you're teaching it. And
Ah.
I put such high value on your time, so thank you for your generosity. And I'm looking for some clarity for pitching to different audiences. I feel a little bit like that will be the value for me today if you cover that.
Okay, great, perfect. What else?
I would say for me, I'm in that spot like you were for many years, where I've worked really hard to find the opportunities to get in front of people, but making that transition to something that I get paid for, that
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, perfect.
or I don't do it well that way.
Yeah, it's a balance. All right, great. Thank you. And Kim says, I feel I have something to share that people want to talk about, and speaking for free can reach more people to introduce myself. Perfect. Yeah, and the barriers really are down right now. There's just so much access we have right now, so many opportunities. Okay, anyone else? All right, then I'm going to keep going. And I did see one more. Let me get that before we move on. Let's see. I used to speak a lot, but haven't done so for a while. I'd like to get back into it. Yeah, this will be a good refresher. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to build all this content from the ground up for you, and it starts with my own in the trenches experiences. So I want to give you a little bit of my background, just very briefly. I do have a great business with clients that I love. We're tracking for the $500,000 mark in the next couple of years, and I get to, in a normal market, I get to travel and spend time with the people who are most important to me. And how it used to be is I just simply loved to talk. My parents joke now, they say, oh my gosh, Mary gets paid to talk. What a shocker, because I've always been a total chatterbox. And I've always thought that being in front of an audience was the best place to be. I've always been great at connecting with an audience. And I wanted to use my powers for good. But after many frustrating years of audiences just loving me, but not hiring me, I knew that I either had to give it up or figure out how to generate income from it. Now, during the frustrating years, I did pretty much everything wrong, from not screening my audience as well, to speaking on topics that had almost nothing to do with what my service offerings were, to being, okay, and this is the most embarrassing thing, is that I one of the biggest mistakes I made was hiring someone, paying them a lot of money, and ending up being banned from a couple of groups because I was so salesy. So how embarrassing. I ended up spending so much time on it. I ended up finally just hitting a wall and realized I either need to figure it out or give it up. And so the question occurred to me, what's working? And I've shared this before with you. What is working? And finally clarity came through, and I realized I'd been trying to generate clients from my speaking, but I was completely ignoring my foundational strategies that I created for client generation. And you may remember this. This is the foundation that helped me double my business several times over and help my clients increase their businesses as well. So I rebuilt my approach. I simplified and boiled everything down to a structure and strategies that consistently bring clients into the business and into the businesses of my clients. I did not start teaching this until I had data that showed that this works consistently. And from all of these experiences, there are 3 things I learned for a fact. Number 1, anyone can generate clients from speaking. I did it wrong for years, but eventually developed a process that has generated over 6 figures a year of new income for the past 6 years. Number 2, you must be strategic and put your authentic self out there. Winging it doesn't work. You need a structure and a strategy. And number 3 is it is a huge opportunity for client generation, hotter than ever because of how it's opened up online. But even before that, it was a huge opportunity, even while tons of marketers online are screaming about having high-tech, highly complicated marketing funnels and opt-ins and lead magnets. There are literally hundreds of audiences, thousands of people that are all looking for great speakers like you. It is an enormous opportunity. So let's start with, should I speak for free? Now, this is a point of much contention among speakers. And I, of course, to figure this out for myself, I built a spreadsheet. Because there's a lot of different kinds of speaking, and the strategies to be successful in each one are completely different. So how do you know what kind of speaking strategy will be most effective and profitable in your business? I'm going to show you how I broke it down. Okay, so the first kind of speaking is host your own event, which sounds good. I'll just host my own event. The compensation you get from hosting your own event is from the event fees and any sales that you make. The key to monetizing it, how to make the most money, is you need to get butts in seats. You need people to attend, which means you are gathering the audience. You are getting the location, you're marketing to get people to attend, you're dealing with food, then you're trying to get people to attend, you're dealing with the audio visual, and you're trying to get people to attend. It's a big output of time and money. Now, the pros for this, the good things about this is you end up with a very qualified audience. People are there to see you. They are there to hear about your topic. The cons are that it is a huge output of time, money, marketing, and money. Again, the risk is very high with this because you can put out a lot of time and effort, and gathering people together is challenging. Okay, the second type of speaking is paid speaking. Now, your compensation is a speaker fee up front. The key to monetizing, like how to maximize the money you make from this, is you need to find the events and you need to negotiate your fee. The pros are that someone else gathers the audience for you. Yay, we like that. The cons are that there are fewer opportunities out there and there's more competition out there. Okay, now there's this thing called paid to speak. Anybody hear of this? Raise your hand, nod your head, pay to speak. Okay, yes, you've heard of it. The compensation here is you have the opportunity to make an offer, so your compensation comes from sales. How to maximize this is you have to sell better than the other speakers, because rarely in one of these events are you the only speaker. The pros are that someone else gathers the audience, and the cons are that this is often something where you're going to see other people doing the hard sell, and also the audience is often made up of a lot of other speakers. which brings us to no fee speaking or unpaid speaking. Your compensation, again, you get to make an offer. So your compensation comes from sales. The way to maximize this is to find qualified groups and to present strategic content. The pros are that someone else gathers the audience and there's jillions of opportunities. And of course, the cons are you're not paid upfront. So there is a bit of a gamble here. So I'm going to give you my very technical evaluation of this now. So hosting your own event, oh no, this is way too much risk. I've done it, and every single time I do my own event, I get down on my knees and I say, God is my witness, I will never do this again. Okay, paid speaking. There's fewer opportunities. I don't like being in a place where the opportunities are kind of, thin on the ground. Okay, the hard sell thing, just no, we're just going to scratch that out. There are some opportunities occasionally that make sense, but overall, be very, very, very careful of this if you are not a highly, highly accomplished salesperson. And so that brings me to being absolutely in love with no fee speaking. Jillions of opportunities. It's just a matter of getting understanding the right audiences to be in front of, and then strategically structuring your content. Now, if you still have resistance to speaking for free, I'm going to tell you, you are not alone. This is John. He's a former CFO of Microsoft North America. And when I mentioned to him that speaking for free might be a good strategy, you should have seen the look he gave me. I mean, he gets 5 figures to get out of bed in the morning just to show up somewhere. But he was open. And because he was at the point in his business where he'd gotten some clients, but he recognized that his corporate success didn't translate into knowing how to run his new executive coaching business and get new clients, he was open. So we worked out his speaking strategy, his referral strategy, the whole thing, and he was able to double an already strong year. So I encourage you to stay open and curious throughout this process. Okay, now let's go through the keys to making audiences hungry to work with you even before you set foot on stage. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but we are going to do a breakout room. So you're going to do some brainstorming together on this. I love the breakout rooms. They're so cool. All right, so I'm just going to go through the do's and the don'ts before, during, and after your presentation. So the first do is to identify where your ideal clients gather. This is really important. This is the mistake I made for years, is I would go into groups where there were a lot of employees. Employees are not my ideal clients. They don't need to generate clients for the most part. So client generation strategist really doesn't go well. I didn't get a lot of business from that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is identify where your ideal client gathers. This is actually what we're going to do some brainstorming around in just a minute. Okay, so you want to identify where your ideal client gathers so you're speaking for the right groups. The second thing you're going to want to do is develop a kick-ass title. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about content today, and it all starts with your title. It must speak to what your ideal client knows they want. And I'm going to give you an example of a topic versus a title, because a title, the job is it's got to draw in your ideal client and make them say, I have to show up for this, as opposed to a topic. So I know a lot of people who teach emotional intelligence, which is fabulous. And what they want to speak on is emotional intelligence. However, a lot of their ideal clients don't realize that the tool they need is emotional intelligence. They know they want their teams to stop acting like 5-year-olds with each other. So you need a title that speaks to the problem they know they have. So a title that speaks to when your team is acting like a bunch of 5-year-olds, here's how to get them to play nice and be productive. That would be a good title. It would be an okay title. That's not great. But your topic, what you teach on, would then be emotional intelligence. So you've got to test out, what is it that your ideal client knows? What's their pain point? And what's going to draw them in? And is that different from the actual topic or the content that you're going to present? Now you also, sometimes your groups will ask you to adjust your title. Anyone have that experience where someone says, oh, I've got a theme this month. Can we just tweak your title? I strongly recommend to not do that. I'm going to show you an example of something that happened to me recently. So this is my title. This is a talk that many of you have seen, More Clients, Less Marketing, Create More Leads and Income by Doing Less. A group I approached, they said, okay, we have a theme for the month and we would like you to change your title to More Clients, Less Marketing, expand your coaching practice by doing less. Now, my ideal clients, they want to make more money. They want to get more clients. And so having leads and income is critically important to the people who are really focused on the business aspect. This theme title softened it so much. I was concerned not as many of my ideal clients would show up. So I said, no, thank you. And they went with my title. Happy ending. So don't do title tweaking. All right. And make inquiries. The other thing to do is make sure you make inquiries to the right groups. Now, the right groups, again, you want to make sure that your ideal client is there. And then once you reach out to these groups and they say, yes, we like your topic, we like your title, you'd be great, then you need to qualify them. And there are 3 non-negotiables you got to make sure you have in order to have the client generation strategy actually work. So there's 3 things that are non-negotiables. Number 1, your title. I already said that, but number 1 is your title. Number 2 is you must be allowed to gather contact information. Gather contact information. And number 3, make an offer. It may be a paid offer, it may be an unpaid offer, but you have to be able to make an offer. And by the way, one more thing that you want to do, just an additional thing, is you want to practice that offer like 10 times more than the rest of your content. Practice the offer, practice it over and over and over. There's something biologically that happens to your body. It feels threatened when you're making an offer because it's a little scary. So you have to almost word for word know your offer. All right, some don'ts to do before. Don't develop your whole presentation first. A lot of people, I find, they wait until they have their whole presentation put together, and then they go out and start looking for speaking engagements. Well, guess what? A lot of times speaking engagements, they're booking minimum 2 months out. And so whenever you finally finish your presentation in 6 months, then you're still 2 months out. Have your title, have a basic description, and then get out there and start doing inquiries. So don't delay your results by developing your whole presentation first. And number 2 is don't create new content for each group. Here's a big important differentiation. When you are being paid to speak, your compensation is based on presenting customized content for the group. Okay, so your content has to speak to their audience for a paid audience. But when you are not being paid, then your content, every word has to be focused on your ideal client. This is the only way that the strategy of client generation through no-fee speaking works. Now, I have had audiences where there are people who are not my ideal client, and so the content, maybe 50% of it isn't applicable to them. That's okay. They figure it out. They're smart people. And they take and apply what they can. And they showed up. They knew the title, they knew the description, they showed up. Okay, so let's move on to the breakout rooms. We are going to do a quick brainstorm, a quick 5-minute brainstorm. So I'm going to stop the share here. I'm going to pull this down so I can see it. And then I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. So what you're going to do, very important, I'm going to give you the topic for your breakout rooms. What you're going to do is brainstorm together. What are your, where do your ideal clients gather? You want to think of groups and associations and organizations where your ideal clients gather. Okay? Anybody have a question about what you're doing here in the breakout room? Okay, then I'm going to break you out into groups of 2 and let you brainstorm. This is the foundation of the good speaking strategy. All right, so let me see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create the rooms. So if you have any problems negotiating them or navigating or have any questions, just put your hand up and I will pop in. Okay, have fun. Oh. Oh, I wonder if that's recording. Hello. Oh, look at the cute little baby. How did you guys get room together
Well,
again?
You did it on purpose.
I totally did not do it on purpose. Zoom just wants you guys to hang out all the time.
It was a
apparently.
blessing. And just so you know, I'm totally involved in the next, I'm involved in this production. I can't let it go. So Mary, enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
Check in with you later.
All right. All right, awesome. Who thought of something really super cool? Chris, then Mary.
I have done some of this work before with you, but I really resisted going to a trade show and walking around and talking to total strangers about how their business could benefit from having video. But that's where my target audience is. My ideal client would be a manufacturer, and there are so many places where those guys gather in large groups. And so trade shows is probably the low-hanging fruit for me. Chambers of commerce as well.
Love it. Fantastic. Mary, hold on, I'm going to mute you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Thank you. When I was talking to Janie, I was thinking about my small business, local small business, but I also am an ESL instructor at the university, but I want to teach online. I thought I was in front of the curve, but now everyone does it. But and that's when I was speaking out loud, I thought about I could videotape myself with something that was compelling or funny or whatever, and get a website and then have that content to share.
Yep. And one of the best ways to get to that cold market and to have that stuff to share is to start with presentations from groups that other people gather as well.
Okay.
So thinking about who are those groups, where do those people gather, so that I was fretting about something one day in my business, and I walked downstairs, talked to my husband. I'm like, how do I get to the cold market? And I've got these visions of social media. And he says, you get to the cold market. The fastest way to the cold market is through the warm market. And so, getting in front of creating yourself as an expert in creating warm markets is the fastest way. Just trying to be out there is much harder to make an impact. Okay, one more, and then I'm going to keep moving. Yes, Jenny.
So this is something that I know, and I keep dragging my feet and not doing it. But so HR managers are perfect contact for me because I work with organizations on team development,
Right.
leadership, training. So SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Managers, I just really need to join that organization and get in front of them.
And HR Star and Pyra. I mean, there's a lot of stuff up north, LA area too, because I have a client who speaks a lot for those. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to keep going with the content because there's still a lot of good stuff to share. So let me share the screen again. Hopefully I'll get it right. Oh yeah, got it. Okay, so are you seeing the screen? Everything look good?
We got your presentation.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. So let's keep going. So what do you do during a presentation that is strategic and smart in order to attract new clients? All right. So first thing is you've got to give solid value. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about, how do I make sure this is compelling? How do I not give away too much? Well, the good news is that you can give a lot. You can give a lot of content. The important thing is to do two things. You have to give something people can use right away, something something they can apply right away. And you also want to give the bigger landscape of the other things they can learn. When you do that, that's probably the most important strategy for selling without being salesy, is to just show people what else is there to learn. What else do they need to consider when they work with you, or when they want to accomplish what your talk is about. So like today, I mean, you're going to see me do this. This is not like a theory. This is what I do. So I'm giving you solid content, stuff you can do before, during, and after a speaking gig. And then I'm going to show you the bigger picture of client generation, the other things that impact the effectiveness of your speaking, the foundational pieces. So you're going to see the zoomed in pieces, and you're going to see the zoomed out bigger picture. And that does a lot of the work for me without having to like push in order to get people to, you know, talk to me about potentially working together. So you want to give solid value, and you want to have fun. You've got to be you. I've given some dreadful presentations in my life, and it's where I was really trying to be someone else, or I was super serious, or and the way that you're able to have fun and be you is you have to have your strategy locked and loaded, so you have a lot of confidence that you're spending your time on something that is going to produce results. And then you have to practice. This has to be just like second nature to you. And once you have it all kind of pinned down, it is very easy to relax, have fun, be yourself. Now, some of the things that not to do. Okay, this is a big one. I wish I could put this in neon letters. Don't rely on the host to provide contact information. I had a really brutal speaking engagement early on where I was in front of like 80 people, and I was told by the host that they would give me everyone's contact information. Well, it turns out that the person who promised it didn't have the authority to give out to make that promise. So I didn't gather the information, and I ended up missing out on adding about 80 contacts to my database. So don't rely on the host to provide the contact information, even if they say they're going to do it. Because the other thing that happens is they will get it to you, and they'll get it to you when they get it to you. So if you want to do what I recommend, which is follow up right away, then also relying on the host can derail that kind of immediate follow-up. So don't rely on the host to provide contact information, always be gathering it up. Don't make it hard for people to work with you further. You want to be very clear logistically, giving them one thing to do in order to explore further work with you. So don't make it hard for people to work with you. Make sure you say, here's what you do, here's how you do it, here's where you go, and here's by when. Do you have any questions? Very specific, very clear. And then the last thing to don't do is to be salesy, to just be all about yourself. Now, there is an and. Don't be salesy, and you still need to have a very intentional sales structure woven into your presentation. Now, if this is pushing any of your buttons, because you're not a big fan of sales, I want to talk about this for a minute, because if you have resistance in this area, it can derail everything. So let me talk about what doesn't work and what does work very quickly. So the good news is that the old school sales tactics, the stuff that's probably bringing to mind a used car salesman, it doesn't work. Okay, because they are all about pressuring, convincing, proving, and scaring. Now, these are the kind of things that speakers use to get people to run to the back of the room so they buy now, they beat out others, and it's frankly a very ugly way to get results. It's short-term thinking, because the people who do buy, they aren't very connected to their reasons, how this could serve them, and they associate you with fear. So they're not committed buyers, and you alienate the people who don't buy, so you kill any long-term opportunities to create clients. This is all about disempowerment, scarcity, force, and disrespect. So the good news is if your instinct is to shy away from these kind of tactics, you're already on the right track. The question is now, what do you do instead? These days, what does sell is providing value, inviting and including them in the next steps for those who do want to go further, being crystal clear about who will benefit from working further with you and the exact steps to take. This approach is empowering and respectful of both you and the audience. When you are approaching it this way, then every part of your talk acknowledges that the people in the audience are capable human beings. And for them to want to work with you further, you don't need to put them down or feel like you have to prove yourself to them. This is the approach that connects you with audiences long-term. The people who want to hire you right away, they will. And the rest will stay subscribed to your list. They'll look forward to your upcoming programs. And when they need you, they will feel deeply connected to you and not hesitate because they had such an empowering experience with you. And guess what? It actually works better. I'm sure that's a relief to know. When you get your strategy together and follow it, excellent things happen. And I'm going to give you an example. This is something that was posted in my client group last week. So this is from Rathana. She says, thank you. I'm doing the happy dance. I took all day yesterday. I put together my talk based on your Build a Talk That Sells program. I was shaking when I made the offer. I had it written down. Thanks to it being a Zoom workshop, I literally just voice modulated and read it out from my sheet of paper. 6 had signed up for the workshop, 4 showed up, and 2 signed up for a growth call to learn more about her services. This is someone who's never produced. This was her first talk where she used the format that I recommend. And she produced, actually, we just found out yesterday that one of them turned into a client. It's pretty darn good. Yeah, right? She's super excited. Okay, so what do you do afterwards? Because it's not all about what you do during. So the first thing you want to do is evaluate, and you want to do this right away. What worked well, what didn't? There are things you cannot learn or understand until you are in front of an audience and you try out your content. So you want to evaluate, you want to make notes. I also recommend that you take video of every single presentation you do. When you're ready, you hire Chris to do a professional video, but to at least to start with, you want to be doing it, just record off your iPhone, just so that you can evaluate yourself. And the second thing you want to do is you want to record data. You want to record data. How many people were in the audience? What was the topic you used? What kind of organization was it? How many follow-up, or maybe you do a conversation afterwards to discuss services. How many of those did you schedule? You want to be able to year over year refine what is working best. So start tracking data from the beginning. Don't wait to follow up. We have a rule in my company. If I talk in the morning or in the midday, everybody gets contacted by the end of the day. If I speak at night, you're going to get contacted mid-morning the next day. Don't wait to follow up. People get very distracted. And don't be one and done. You lose so much value. You've got to integrate your speaking with your other strategies. Like if you do webinars or courses, or you do an email list, or you have a Facebook group, how do you continue the conversation and nurture the relationship? You've got all this good feeling. You've got the contacts. Don't just be a short-term thinker. I'm always amazed when someone calls me a year later and says, hey, I saw you in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm ready to work with you. Like, oh, really? But yeah, this stuff works. So don't be one and done. All right, so we are getting close to the closing time. So here's what I want to do. We've got about 12 minutes left. I'm going to continue through all of the content and take questions at the very end, but I want to make sure to get through all of it and deliver what I promised. So I'm skipping this. We're now going to factor in the 6 essential elements of client generation so you can maximize your results. Because if you want to grow and scale your business, you must have a system. Speaking is one piece of the puzzle, but I want to equip you with a bigger picture understanding of how this all works together. Because when it comes to client generation, a lot of times I see business owners learn a little here, a little there, and they end up with a time-consuming mess, spinning your wheels instead of making progress consistently. So to get a better structure around what you're doing, I'm going to go over each of these elements, and you're going to assess your business and how it's doing in these areas, because each of these areas impact the effectiveness of your speaking as a client generation strategy. So you're going to evaluate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How well do you have these elements dialed in? I'm going to explain them, and you're going to rate yourself, and it will help you focus where you need to focus. So the first one is a values-driven profit strategy. This allows you to build a business in perfect alignment with your values and vision and is profitable. So this includes 3 things. Number 1, your values. What are your personal values? You must understand those. Number 2, what is your vision? What long-term are you driving towards that will make you happy? And what is your pricing and packaging structure so that your business, so you can stay in business? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you about your pricing, values, and vision for your business? Now, number 2 is your proactive marketing plan. And the speaking is one of the tactics within your proactive marketing plan. A proactive marketing plan is all about lead generation. Do you understand the specific activities you have 100% control over that you will do on a consistent basis that creates new business? Rate your ability to bring in new leads consistently on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high. Ideal client clarity is the third one. This has a lot to do. This impacts speaking tremendously. You've got to know what they're thinking. I talked about titles. That's one of the parts that you have to understand. What are they thinking about their problem and the solution they're looking for? And then the other thing is, where do they gather in high concentration? So you're showing up where they do. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you about your ideal client? And I have to say this, if you aren't clear about this, you're going to have real trouble with your speaking, as well as the magnetic messaging, because this is the translation of what your ideal client is wanting and needing. This is the translation into messaging. This is words on your website, in your talk titles, on your business cards. Are you speaking the language of your ideal client? When you meet your ideal clients, do they quickly say, I need you? On a scale of 1 to 10, are you able to communicate the value of what you do quickly? And then once you do get someone interested and they say, I'd like to know more, can you confidently convert a prospect into a paying client? Are you able to ask to be paid what you're worth and not stumble through asking for money? If you work with corporations, are you able to work to move a proposal through the bureaucracy without it getting hung up? So on a scale of 10, rate your ability, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate your ability to close the sale when someone says they're interested. And last but not least is time management mastery, which encompasses everything. Do you get your priorities done and have a clear approach to managing your time? I want you to rate your ability to stay in control and focus on your priorities. Okay, so after this webinar, it's going to be very tempting to jump into the speaking piece right away. But if you discover areas of this assessment that need attention, the areas that need attention are the ones that are a 7 or lower. This is where you need to start to get your foundation in order first. Otherwise, the time you invest in speaking could result in not getting the results that you want. And I did this for years myself. Now, on the flip side, I'm going to show you a very new speaker who is pretty successful right out of the gate because she got her foundation in order and got her structure of her business together. All right, so this is another post in my client group. She said, you would be so proud of me. Check out the picture, 13 discovery calls. That's her prospect call booked in. Another talk is scheduled for Friday. If they keep signing up for this, I don't know how I'm going to fit them all in. Yay, that's the problem we want. So this isn't difficult. You don't have to be doing this for years and years and years. You just have to be very intentional about your strategy. All right, so let's talk about implementing. The next piece, all of this is great. It's great information, but what are you going to do about it? What I want you to do right now is to look over your notes. I'm going to give you about a minute for this. And I want you to identify a bite-sized action that you can do that would make an impact, that would move the needle with regards to speaking as a client generation strategy. And a bite-sized strategy, a bite-sized action is great, but I've met people like you, and I imagine you ended up with more than one, probably more than 3 or 5. Jenny is smiling. Yes, I'm looking at you. Yeah, I bet you have more than that, just one thing on your on your list. So let's take a minute to really allow ourselves to think forward into the kind of impact that could be made. So for a moment, we need to get into imagination and use the creative centers of our brain. So I'm going to invite you to put down your pen, to lean back from your computer for a moment, and maybe close your eyes if you're comfortable. I want to get into the creative centers of your brain. And I'd like you to imagine that you're showing up to serve people. You're showing up to serve audiences in a powerful way. And those audiences not only appreciate you, but they understand how much more value they'd have if they hired you. And this creates a wonderful steady stream of great clients coming in. You go out in the world, you make an impact, you attract clients. You go out into the world and you make impact and you attract clients. You're known for your expertise and your brilliance, and you have an overall plan, a plan that makes you smile. It allows you to relax because you know that the consistency is there. You're not doing things that make you feel pushy or salesy. You know what to do, where to go, and what to say to take prospects from the handshake to signing on the bottom line as a client. And you do this with confidence and with consistency and with ease. All right, take another deep breath. Is that a vision you can get behind? Yeah? Some smiles, some nods, good. All right, so I imagine now you're feeling good, fired up. You're like, yes, Mary, I see what I need to do. But what's the challenge with making changes? You're a busy person. You're fired up now. So how do you keep this level of focus and inspiration week after week so you really start seeing results? So at this point, brings us to the third thing. You really want to identify something important. When you're thinking about what you want and need in your business, who do you have in your corner who has accomplished what you want to accomplish and is available to help you when you need it most? Because some of you may have the support you need, but for those of you who don't, I invite you to consider working with me. If you're looking to significantly grow your business without working nights and weekends, let's just have a conversation and get clear about what it's actually going to take to make that happen. So what I'm offering today is a complimentary breakthrough call to explore the possibility of working together further. The call is a great option for you if you're feeling a little stuck, not sure why and could use a reboot, or maybe you've been looking for some kind of support but can't quite get a picture of what that looks like. Now, these calls are complimentary, but they're limited in number, and they're intended for people who are really committed to getting to the next level of your business this year, willing to invest in yourself. You're decisive, driven, and willing to work. So if that sounds like you, then on this call, I'll walk you through a process to identify your biggest opportunities for growth. And then we'll decide together if it makes sense to work together further to help you maximize those opportunities. Now, I take this time with you personally because working together is an investment, and I want us both to be 100% confident that I'm the right fit for you. So to get on my calendar is very simple. You go to breakthroughcall.biz. You can see the link on the screen, breakthroughcall.biz. It's just a simple scheduling page. You pick your time, pick your date, boom, you're done. One less thing to think about, puts you first in line. And in case you're thinking, okay, that sounds interesting, I'll just jot that down. I'll get around to it later. Janny, I'm looking at you again. Yeah, I've met you. You're busy. So I am going to give you an incentive to schedule now so all this clarity and good intention doesn't get lost in the shuffle. When you do schedule in the next 30 minutes, you'll receive a gift from me, which is the full digital copy of my book, Smile When They Call You Sleazy. All right. Any questions about this session? All right, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on to doing the drawing. This is your last chance. This is your last chance to get into the prize drawing. If you would like the chance to get mail, real mail, a book in the mail, my my book Smile When They Call You Sleazy Strategy and an encouragement for the impact-driven entrepreneur, send me an email right now. And I will show you my super high-tech way that I do my drawing. By the way, one of the things that I think is really important is to never let technology get in the way of moving forward in your business. So I am kind of the queen of finding low-tech workarounds for everything. I don't even want people to have to like text to try. I don't want to set up a text system to get people to opt into this. Right. Oh, and if in case that little asterisk on the screen is freaking you out, that just means that everyone's a winner. Everyone's going to receive the first chapter and access to ongoing resources. All right. So I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds to get into the drawing, and then I will reveal my high-tech way, low-tech way of picking the winner. All right. Got a couple more. Okay. Fabulous. So I've got my phone. I'm going to refresh one more time. Okay, perfect. So now here it is. I just go like this and I go, okay, I just tapped on one. Okay, that's my client. Wait, that's a referral I was getting. Okay, Janny. Janny is our winner. There we go. All right, Janny, I need you to send me your mailing address, please. Okay, so that is all the content. We got through it, with just 1 minute. 1 minute over. Mm-hmm. All right, I did want to spend, I'm perfectly happy to stay for a few minutes, like 10 minutes before my next appointment to answer questions. So I know it's kind of like a fire hose, but what questions do you have? Yes, Mary Ellen. Oh, there you go.
So one of the questions is, you said to not wait for the host to give you the contact information. Do you collect it while you're with them? In a group?
So there's two answers to this, because there's live and then there's online. So I'm going to delete the online first. So today I did an example of how you can do that. You do a drawing and you offer resources, and people can either send you the email or not. And it's fine either way. They can opt in. That's really low tech. We make the barrier really low to make it simple for people to send you the email. So my commitment to you is that not only did you get into a drawing, but I'm going to give you resources. So it makes sense that you will be receiving an email from me. Okay, so that's the online way to do it. Live, what I love to do, and I have the Carlsbad Chamber to thank for this, realizing how to do it better, is I said, okay, I'm going to, how can we collect cards at the end so I can do a drawing? And they're like, well, why don't we just grab them for you while people walk through the door? I'm like, oh, even better. So if you can work with your host to help make that easy, that's the best way to do it. Because when you do it at the end, when your time may be running short, I always feel like my time's running short. And then you have to get everybody to get their cards out, and it's taking up your time. It's harder to manage. Does that answer your question, or were there any other details that would be helpful?
No, that's good. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Great. What else?
I have another question.
Sure.
Mine's more technical, but do you have any good quick breathing or resources that I could practice? I don't like, I'm too nasal. I'm not breathing properly while I'm speaking, kind of a thing.
You know what? I don't.
I thought about like singing, people who have music, give music, and they teach that kind of things, singing. And
what I can tell you is you don't sound nasal to me. So I don't know if it's something that maybe someone has mentioned to you in the past that you're carrying around, but you sound like you're just talking to me.
Mary Ellen, I agree. One thing you can do is get a microphone, which will actually make your voice sound better than it would through the computer mic. But you sound fine to me too.
Yeah.
There is a TED Talk, but I can't remember who did it. It's a man, I think he's bald, and it's like 6, I don't know, techniques to prepare your voice and your breathing before you speak. So And he has you do things like, you know, and
La 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 la.
and yeah,
Lemon
but I
face.
can't remember his
Lime
name,
face.
so that
I could
Yeah.
probably find it.
yeah, hopefully.
You can
I know,
also-
like, I wrote down like the little tips on a Post-it note, but I don't think I wrote down his name.
If you also go to acx.com, that's the production company for Audible. There's lots of training there about how to la 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 la.
Ooh,
Okay.
Just saying.
That was impressive.
it was.
La 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 la.
You know.
I don't know.
And quick note, yeah, the time to do that is before the speaking, not on stage. All right. Any other questions, comments, call outs? I'm going to put
I
some.
got one thing.
Okay.
It's not a question necessarily, but just an affirmation that one of the things I've learned is from you and in doing this is that I'm sorry, my dog's barking, the mailman's here. The idea of bringing value and of talking always in terms of giving value to people, always making it about them and not about you. That's, for me, that's been the biggest differentiator between selling and actually helping people. Speakers love to help people. And when you have that communication, it's just like a virtuous cycle, you know, where you're actually one with the audience because you're giving them what they want and they're giving you back that energy. So I like the idea of bringing value. That's just my favorite thing.
And I would say, I love that because that is always the perspective that I come from. And I will say that there are tons and tons of speakers who will give and give and give and give, and they won't receive value back. They haven't opened the channel for reciprocity, which is the offer and the strategy. They're not positioning or letting people know that they're open for business. And so that's where the strategy really has to come in. So I appreciate the value piece, and I still have to really hammer home that that's rarely the problem for speakers. We're going to give all the time. Letting people know we're open for a business is more challenging. And just, I did open up the what are they called? The breakthrough sessions, but I did want to let you guys know, just because it's very timely, and I'm putting a link into the chat, is that I am doing, I have an online course about how to structure your content. It's an online course. So people that like Rafna, who I gave an example of, she just did it online. However, on Friday this week, I'm also doing a virtual live event going through it so that questions can be answered. And I do this twice a year. So if it's something you're interested, if you're curious about it, now is the time to look at that. If you want to get your content put together in a way that is strategic, that's where we do it. Okay, any other questions? All right. Okay, so what's the one thing you're going to do? I want to hear it.
I'm going to work on the value and vision, because we have a 30-year-old business, but we're kind of at the tail end, and I'm looking to see what I want to do. And
What's next?
I get a little bit distracted by obviously doing more than one thing, but for our old business, just to finish that off strong.
Great. Mary Jane.
Anna, yeah, boy, you gave us some homework. I'm doing the bite-sized
Yes.
because they're actually very accomplishable. I just needed somebody to say, do it now. Thank you. And then also I'm going to work on my 2 areas that I scored under 7 on. So that was really so valuable for me. Thank you.
Great. Perfect. Kim.
Yeah. Thank you for all this information, first of all. It was
You're
great
welcome.
of you. I need to work on defining really very clearly who my perfect audience is. And I did get a lot of tips on that when I was in the breakout room with Mary Jane. And then translating that into my website, which I'm currently redoing anyway. So it's a perfect time to do that.
Yeah, it's really important to nail that down. And a lot of times, like, what we know as experts and what we want to talk about is not actually what your ideal client is thinking. And so I can give you an example. Like, I have a client in LA, they're an environmental I don't know what they are, complicated consulting with infrastructure and environmental impact. And it's just all this high tech documentation, boring. Okay. And so we reworked their messaging, and now their homepage says, "We get your project moving." Because that's what their ideal client cares about. But going from what you do to what your ideal client really cares about and will pay for, it's a bit of a leap. That's one of the places we spend I spend a lot of time with my clients on, because it's critical. They have to be able to recognize you as the solution.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Janie.
So a couple things, like getting in front of my ideal audience, and I know how to do that, but also working on my language, I don't remember what you call it, the magnetic words, like making sure that that it all goes together. And my website's been waiting for attention also, so good opportunity to straighten that out.
Good. All right. Mark or Kathleen, would you like to hop on and just say what you're going to do?
Hi, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
I would, for me, I was in the breakout room with Nancy. I think she left, but for me, since we deal with commercial accounts, it's more just prospecting and getting out, or at least speaking and sending follow-up emails, like you said, within 24 hours with customers, and just, making sure that we're still in business and still around during this, epidemic right now.
Yeah, great.
For us.
All right, and Kathleen, if you want to come on. All right, or not.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Everything was muted. Mine is doing the kind of the, I don't want to say sales funnel, but that's the proactive marketing. And I've been working on that this week and continue to do that. I've got some resources and just trying to understand them and get that in a flow of consistency.
All right, fabulous. Okay, did anyone learn anything contextually from the way I gave the presentation? Yeah?
No, you demonstrated the whole way through.
Yeah.
Got me.
That was fantastic.
Well, good. All right. Well, then my work here is complete. Kathy, it's over to you.
Thank you so very
Yeah,
much.
thank you, Mary.
You are welcome.
Today. I mean, amazing. So much information, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
It is my pleasure.
Thank
I will
you.
stop the recording.
Thanks, Mary.